All right, my friends, welcome to Prof and Dev Play Games. This week we're talking Xbox Partner Showcase and Metaphor, Refantazio, Tazio, who knows? Stay tuned. All right, my friends, welcome to episode 452 of Prof and Dev Play Games, where we talk about Metaphor, Refund, Tater Tazio, and
that
other stuff.
Good.
I like that. Tater Tots. It's good stuff. Xbox Partner Showcase. I'm Larry. Over there is Anthony the Dev. He makes games. I play them, and he plays them too. How are you this weekend?
It's true. I do play them. Probably a little much.
More than I do, that's for sure.
Sacrifice some sleep for that.
Yeah.
Doing okay. I'm getting into the end of October, so that's fun. Got my daughter's birthday coming up, and then Halloween. So,
are you all dressing up?
We're not all dressing up, but my kids are still. They're getting to the point where you have to ask that question. Like, my son's 14. I'm like, when did I stop really dressing up for Halloween?
Mm-hmm.
Probably younger than he has, but just the way that where we live, and it's kind of a big party thing.
Yeah,
I think people dress up a lot later. I would probably dress up if I had the time, but the time goes to helping my kids get dressed up, not my own costume. But one day I'll do it again.
We were at a birthday party this afternoon, and it was a costume party, so we dressed up. My wife was Luigi, I was Bowser, and my daughter was Ghost Spider. We won Best Family, so we won a huge basket of Ghirardelli chocolate stuff. It was great. It was really good. But for Halloween proper, my wife bought me a costume. And I was like, wow, you never bought me a costume before. That's strange. And it came, and it was a huge Kung Fu Tea boba costume. It's amazing. I'm so excited. It's my favorite drink. My well known for loving my boba tea, and I get to wear it for Halloween. I'm looking very forward to it.
That's funny.
That's funny by itself. But then on Halloween, we actually have contract negotiations, and we're dressing up. So I'm wearing my boba costume for this meeting that I think is going to be a little contentious. So it's just going to be such a weird juxtaposition between like what we're talking about and how I look.
I Googled it. Is it the one that's like from Spirit?
It's from, yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
I'm looking at it. That's funny.
That's my costume. Great. Oh my God.
That's awesome.
My wife and my daughter were so excited to give it to me. I was like, wow, well played. This is an amazing costume. Because I had just come home that day with boba. So it was perfect timing. Kung Fu Tea boba. Nothing beats it. Video games. Nothing beats them either, except for if you're Xbox. But we'll get into it.
A little bit. Oh, ow.
This was the last moment of the year where I could get excited about maybe a Silk Song trailer, which did not once again happen. But we start off with Alan Wake 2.
No more an extended trailer. There was like the teaser. What was that from?
Oh God, I feel like it was like a month ago. Yeah,
month and a half ago. They had the teaser for it. Was it on Sony?
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah. But either way, this is a launch trailer, so you get more context. You're playing Estevez in the lake house as you explore this Federal Bureau of Control area. I'm like, this one is really mixing the control vibes into the control aesthetics into the Alan Wake side of things.
Yeah. This is us going.
Is cool to see.
This is like the connective tissue. I mean, there's a ton of connective tissue, but this is like the on-ramp for see you again next time in Control 2.
Yeah, pretty much. Or another game that will come out later at the end of this.
Oh, well, good point. Yes, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, but it was cool to see. We know it's coming, and it's coming out
this coming week, I think.
This Tuesday, 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I didn't play the first one, but I'm excited to watch someone else play through this.
Mm-hmm. Well, this
very excited to see where this goes.
This launching made me think maybe I should get back into Alan Wake 2. I should be doing a little bit of that for spooky season. I did a little bit of Dead Space. Now I should do a little bit of Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
To play through. I played a couple hours of it. need to get back into it. Of course, you and I both watched the whole thing.
Yeah. I still know I couldn't actually probably play it effectively. But I will watch it, and then I can pause it when I need a little bit of a break.
Yes, exactly. Come back to it.
Yeah.
It is stressful.
Any of those big horror games, they're really stressful. Actually, this whole partner showcase was very spooky themed overall. There was a few. I feel like this next one, Blind Fire, which is a tactical shooter. It's in early access. I think it came out.
Yeah, that day.
I haven't seen how it's been doing on Steam. I assume it's on Steam early access as well. I could be wrong though.
I think so. Be. Yeah.
Very interesting concept of being like a shooter that like where light and visibility really matter. And it's very low light and high contrast lighting. So
yeah, I think it's an interesting concept. And, there's so many of these kinds of games, not this specific hook or whatever, but there's way too many of these games. I think it's hard to stand out. So this is at least an interesting concept that may get some people to load it up.
Yeah. Steam has taken a while to load. Is my internet bad? I don't think my internet's bad. I just think the internet's
What website do you use when you're looking at those kind of stats? SteamDB?
What do you mean?
Like, how do you know what website do you use to see how many people are playing whatever on Steam?
Oh, I'm not saying how many people are playing. I'm saying if it's up. Blindfire is up on Steam. It only has 15 reviews though.
Okay.
So
there's SteamDB. So if I go to SteamDB and I look up Blindfire,
it's probably not that many people playing if there's only 15 reviews.
Yeah. So Blindfire. Let's see here. I'm gonna click on it. It's gonna tell me how many people have played. That's telling me the price. I've never used SteamDB, so I'm not sure how to read this data.
It's in desperate need of players, as most of the reviews. It's really neat,
sure.
But it's a multiplayer PvP game, and if you don't have players, not a whole lot you can do there.
Anthony, this is the right one. It peaked yesterday at 26, has 18, and 6 players right now.
Yeah, it's going to make it real hard. And again, you brought up the main thing. It's really hard to stand out.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is pure indie.
Well, I wonder how many Steam players are like, I'm going to watch an Xbox partner showcase to see what's new on Steam. Yeah. That's not happening.
No.
Oh, this SteamDB is more interesting than I thought. I know other people use this a lot, but...
Yeah, no, SteamDB is cool.
Yeah. Okay, well, yeah. Ugh, that sucks. There's So an article earlier today I was talking about like the biggest entertainment flop of the year no one's talking about is Concord. Like us and like enthusiast press of video games is talking about it, but like, it flopped harder than Joker. It flopped harder than, whatever else. So that's crazy. So,
I mean, that happens. Like I'm going to talk about like live service games, but any game that is a multiplayer specific game that has no other single player, you have to have players. And if you look back over the last, years that we've done this podcast, so many have just fallen by the wayside.
Yeah.
Like, and if it's going to fall by the wayside within weeks of it coming out.
Absolutely.
Because it just doesn't get the players. And if it doesn't have the players, then there's no game to play.
Exactly. I was listening to, I think it was Sean Layden, who was being interviewed by Friends Per Second, and he was just talking about...
Oh, I listened to that.
Oh, did you? Okay, so just for the listeners, basically the idea, which we already know, live service games consume people's lives, and people can only be consumed by 1, maybe 2, and you're asking people to abandon all of that to try something new and stick with something new, and it's almost an impossible ask at this point.
It is an almost impossible ask. I always equated it back to what got really, really huge? WoW, when it got really huge. How hard? Your mom plays WoW still.
Yes.
It's hard. It would be hard for her to ever switch to another game. There's so much calcification into her playing that game.
That's right.
That it's like, how can you just pick up and get that in another game? You can't, even if it was crazy. The only way that happens is you see the migration happen is if Blizzard screws up, which they did, and a lot of players went to FF14. Big migration where a lot of guilds and all those friends and all that, all the history that they had built up in WoW, they just kind of moved to a different game.
Right.
But you don't just get one person moving. It has to be like huge chunks of people moving over so that your social contacts stay there. What you're doing can kind of outside the game still feel the same. But even then it's hard because you're like, well, I have all these high level characters. Look at all the gear that I've got and things that I've done here. It's hard to abandon that.
But it's like, you know, it's not just a part of your identity. It's a part of like your life, you know?
Yeah.
Like you've put so much, my mom has put so much time into that. She would never, unless she had to, you know, move on to anything else. And speaking of that, by the way, I've been thinking about it for a while lately. I would love, and I think I could probably do this, just interview my mom, talk to her, have a whole podcast about fucking WoW. It's half our conversation when I call her anyways. So might as well just fucking get it, you know, for posterity. My mom's getting up there. It would be nice to have that for posterity's sake. So yeah, stay tuned for that. All right.
Yeah. So things like Blind Fire fall away because they don't get any mass at the beginning. People aren't talking about them, and then it's hard to get people to be like, yes, I'm going to pick this up and play, even though it seems like it's only $9.
And you know, the caveat too is we're looking at Steam. Like maybe because this was an Xbox thing, maybe people picked it up over there, but I don't know how to check that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe. Next one I'm very excited about for Xbox fans. Animal Well came out from Big Mode, I think it is, to Xbox finally.
Yeah. And, where else was it at before this?
So it was on Switch and on Steam, and PlayStation. It launched into PlayStation Plus Extra. That's where I played the first couple hours, and then I picked it up.
So it's everywhere. But
now
Xbox.
It is. Yeah, it was everywhere but Xbox. Now it's on Xbox, which is kind of a theme, right? Where people are dodging Xbox. I think Wukong just got rated for Xbox today. So, you know, Animal Well, I think the initial run through is about 5 hours. It's a Metroid Brainia. But then there's a lot more shit afterwards. And I played it and I was like, this is a handheld game. This is not a big screen game. And I want this physical. So I got it. Apparently, I then purchased it from Limited Run Games and fucking forgot about it. And then it showed up and I was like, oh, I forgot I bought this. So I do want to get through this before Game of the Year because I think this is going to make my list. I just got to sit down with it and do it.
Sure.
So, but yeah, coming to Xbox.
Then we got Bloober Team, who just released Silent Hill 2 remake for pretty great reviews. Be honest, I've heard almost universal praise for that game.
Yes,
so,
me too. Yeah.
But then they've known for other horror games before that, and they put out a trailer for Chronos: The New Dawn, which looks super creepy and weird.
Mm-hmm.
But there was like an interview around this with, I think, the head of Bloober Team.
Yes.
Saying they were done putting out crappy games.
Yeah, and I saw someone trying to make the case that like shitty is, you know, in Eastern Europe, it's not as strong as it is here. Yeah, I lived in Eastern Europe. I'm not sure about that. You know, the Medium came out around the same time as Resident Evil 8, I think. And, you know, the juxtaposition was kind of like, this is a kind of a AA game. But it still has fans, but I don't know if Silent Hill 2 is like the coming out party for Bloober or Silent Hill 2 remake was building on the bones of an amazing game. And that's kind of what happens when you remake an amazing game. But they did a lot, you know, it wasn't isometric. It wasn't, you know, they've changed the camera. They changed a bunch of shit, but, you know.
As far as I've heard, like, that's the thing. It was built on solid bones, but there's a lot of ways then you could screw that up pretty hard. And it doesn't seem like they did screw it up. They made a proper remake of it and changed things where they needed to, and the changes are well received from coworkers that I know are playing it who are loving it. So that's great on them. But I also there's a part of me whenever a developer says we're done making, they said shitty games. But I'm like, I mean, you can try, but I assume there's still all the reasons why shitty games get made, which is typically comes down to money and time.
Right.
Hopefully you can solve those issues, which the money and time is like a scoping thing too, or is it a game that you can actually make with the money and time you have? And if it isn't, how do you scale it down properly to fit? And scaling it down to fit, is that actually a good game anymore?
Right.
A lot of times that scoping, why I would say most games come out bad, is that scoping problem isn't caught early enough. Like the scoping happens on like, oh, we're way too close to ship, we have to put something out, or it's all a loss.
Right. So cut, make it make sense.
Cut things, half bake things because you just don't get time to do it. But it's not a well, we want to do it this way. It's just crap. We should have caught that a year and a half ago, but we didn't.
Yeah. Like I say, this Chronos: The New Dawn trailer is fucking high quality. I'm not sure if it's a game I'll ever play, but I'm glad that there are people who like those things.
So creepy and crazy, and I wouldn't be playing it, but yes, the quality bar is there, which makes me wonder if like a lot of the work on Silent Hill 2, I don't know what engine they were using.
They're not using Fox engine. They're probably using their own. I would assume one that they're used to using.
It's either their own or Unreal. To be honest. Silent Hill 2 Remake is Unreal Engine 5, so I bet Chronos is UE5, because I bet a lot of this, they're not building Unreal Engine themselves, but every dev team that uses Unreal makes a lot of their own tools and pipelines for using Unreal. So ideally, they're just getting better and better at doing that. So that's cool. Another game I won't play, but it was kind of crazy to see Bloober already putting out like, hey, yeah, we have another game coming next year. So shortly after Silent Hill 2.
I gotta say, most of the Xbox Pro showcases games I won't play. So,
yeah,
it is what it is. Next one was Mouse PI for Hire, which is basically Steamboat Willie with a gun.
Yeah, I said FPS Cuphead.
Yeah, that too. Yep, got that 40s comic vibe. But I don't know if they're striving for using the Steamboat Willie IP, the one that's in the public domain, or if they got something that just looks close to it. I don't know.
Well, even if it looks close to it, doesn't matter anymore. So there you go.
Right. Either way, yeah. I just didn't know if they were actually saying like, yes, this is that character. I didn't catch that.
I don't think so. Yeah. Because at the end, like even their character, they have a title card with characters. They don't look like Steamboat Willie Mickey at all. I assume they still don't want to completely piss off the mouse.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Just as you don't want to piss off Nintendo lawyers, don't piss off Disney lawyers.
Mm-hmm. DeSantis knows all about that.
Yeah.
But, the comparisons to Cuphead are there. Cuphead FPS is perfect. Coming out next year. It's for someone. People I've heard pretty excited about it. Great. Not for me, but,
Yeah. It definitely has... what do they call them? Boomer shooter vibes now.
Oh yeah, sure.
Just simple FPS, but very rapid. Yeah, neat art. I'm the kind of the trailer now, and they just do a good job of translating that kind of like 2D into 3D. So yeah,
I like the being bold to just do all black and white for the most part, grayscale at least. It's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yep. Hope it does well.
Next, another spooky game, Phasmophobia, which I have looked at work. We did a point of research at one point, not research, a show and tell, where we watched a group of 4 in the office playing Phasmophobia, just to see what the game was. And it is interesting. 4-player co-op horror game. Basically, you're like paranormal explore. Like the house is being haunted, or the places are being haunted, and you're trying to figure out what it is, and survive.
And it's the one that has proximity chat, I think, in VR, where you get close, or any of them, I guess, where you get close to someone else and you're hearing them, hearing their shit. Yeah, that's cool.
It was before like Lethal Company took a lot from this as well. Similar type of deal. Just Phasmophobia is not sci-fi or anything, but it's like, you're a group working together to solve this like haunting. It was neat. It was neat to. I'm not going to play it, but it is cool. It is still in early access on Steam since 2020.
It's still in early access?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. But this is a full-blooded release for Xbox and PS5.
I wonder if that's when it's coming out of early access.
Yeah, maybe.
Blood Moon. I don't know. That's
interesting.
Yeah, we had that. Then we got another trailer for Dragon Pirate Yakuza.
Oh my god. This looks so fucking batshit insane crazy fun.
Yeah. I'm just like, we had some assets lying around. We just made another game because we felt like it.
Man, who does it better than them right now? Reusing assets in just some weird, wacky fucking ways. Turn-based, and then we're switching over to, now this is the action combat that we're known for in the past.
Yep.
At one point, fucking Majima pulls out an electric guitar in one of these fucking battles. And I was just like, sold. Okay. I need to quickly get through the Yakuza and get to this because goddamn, this looks like a showcase coming out. I think they changed the date. It's like 1 week earlier in February now.
It is. It's like, it's coming along fine. I'm like, what is with this team? Like,
well, they got some like pirate boat combat. Fucking looks like Carmageddon with fucking pirate boats.
I don't even I don't understand. Like, but sure, why not? Let's do this.
There's the cello and not cello, fucking viola and the fucking electric guitar. Oh my god, this is wild.
It is. Good on them for just being like, we're just leaning into the weirdness that we've created.
Way to stand out, man. Way to stand out. People are excited about this. Yakuza fans are there.
Oh yeah. My friend here who loves the Yakuza series is so excited for that game.
Hell yeah. See, there you go. Exactly.
I'm excited to try this next game.
Really? Okay. Okay. I'm interested to hear why. Go for it. Want to tell us all about
it? Because it's Remedy.
Mm-hmm.
FBC Firebreak. This is co-op Control. I don't know. Not first-person Control, but I mean, it's 3-person co-op PvE.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, what it reminds me of is kind of a take on Deep Rock Galactic, just in a setting I would actually enjoy. What I would enjoy, as opposed to I don't like dwarves, so which I always have to actually explain. Fantasy dwarves, not of all races. I actually, this is the thing. Know about me. I actually do not like dwarves.
Man, I've known you for a real long time, and I never knew that.
Nope, I really don't like it. I don't like the aesthetic. I don't like the general vibe that most dwarves give off. There are certain fantasy prophecy properties that do it differently. Like, I'm generally fine with like how Dragon Age does it. They've tweaked that you're more stereotypical like Lord of the Rings dwarf stuff, but like your typical fantasy dwarf stuff, I'm just like, this bores me to tears.
Interesting.
And so like the aesthetic of Deep Rock Galactic, like even though I'm like, the gameplay's fun, I'm like, I hate the aesthetic. I hate the theming. I'm here for a 3-player co-op FPS by Remedy. One, it's Remedy, which I'm like, I bet this is going to feel amazing to play. And then just exploring more of the world of Control like this in the oldest house, which is the setting for the first Control. So, and this is taking place after the events of Control. So I'm very curious what the story continues to be.
This is the on-ramp to Control 2 then. Okay. Perhaps.
Yeah, this is not. Perhaps it's going to definitely lead in somewhat. And we're talking about needing players. I have a feeling like Remedy now has enough staying power that they'll get enough players in here. Probably not like this won't be an enormous game, but I bet there'll be a pretty dedicated fan base to it if there's if the gameplay is decent enough.
Well, the thing I was thinking about for this, and I've never played Deep Rock Galactic. 3-player co-op. You're not playing others, right? You're playing against the environment with 3 players.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome because I don't know if you need a huge player base to like make the game limp along.
You really just need 2 friends who want to be playing this game.
Exactly. And the other thing I like, I don't know if it was the director who said this. Here it's Mike Kenyatta, but someone else maybe it was him who said like this is not an everything game. This is not a game like you can come in, play, and you can leave. You're not going to miss out on anything. We're not going to be doing that kind of season pass stuff or whatever that makes people feel like you're missing out. It's just like, this is a thing we want to try.
Yep.
So 3-player where you don't have to worry about filling in matches of like 20v20 or whatever.
Nope.
Yeah.
Just play the game.
Could be a thing.
I'm here for it. Like I said, been a fan of Remedy for a long time. I'm kind of crazy how well they've been doing in the past, like 6-7 years. Like they had a stretch there where it was pretty hard for them.
Yeah.
Alan Wake was fine, the original one, and they had Quantum Break didn't really do that great at all.
That's funny because Quantum Break is the only Remedy game I played start to finish.
Yeah, I just think where it was and when it didn't get a huge audience, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Not because of the quality bar. I think Remedy has always made quality games. It's just they don't always have the biggest audiences.
Well, it was a neat idea too, because it was like gameplay and then a 30-minute show, but the 30-minute show really slowed things down. Like I loved it, like got me into the narrative, except for that final boss who I thought was fucking garbage. But other than that,
So I'm here for this. It was cool to see it actually announced. They had been talking about this one under a code name. I can't remember what it was for a while. Mm-hmm. So clearly it's closer than I thought. Sometime next year. I'm sure it's going to be on not just Xbox. I bet this will be on PC.
Oh, it's be everywhere.
It's going to be everywhere. Let's be honest.
I wonder if I'll crossplay too. That could really give it a shot in the arm.
That's a good question. I would hope.
Mean, only needing 3 players, like you really don't need that, I suppose. But people want to play with their friends, so
yeah. If they have it, and then they finished it with a teaser, for a very pretty looking game, Subnautica 2, which I saw some people even at work being like, isn't this Subnautica 3? There was already another one. And I'm like, yes, this icy one.
Right. That's true.
Which you can read development blogs of it. It originally was going to be an expansion for the first game. And they really just kind of it as like, it just grew big enough where they just put it out as a standalone. They didn't redo the engine or anything. It's where Subnautica 2 is like clearly using Unreal 5, better graphics. Mm-hmm. It's like this thing's crazy, but it's only coming to early access in 2025. I bet it won't be out until like 2026 out of early access. But
people were saying, Subnautica 1 was in early access for 3 years, so they could see it being in early access for 3 years.
It's true. It could be a while. I'm hoping it's not, but
because you played 1, right?
Yeah, I played 1. I enjoyed 1 quite a bit. Really, really neat exploration, crafting game, survival. Very different than what else has been out there, and had a lot of neat things to explore. It had a neat world story to it in the end. Very much in one of the ways of starting off, you don't know any. If you just go into it unknown, you will be surprised where the story ends up and what's actually going on. It was fairly neat. But it was a long game to get there.
To get to the part where it's like the big twist.
You get the twist a little early, but further twist and getting kind of like the full reveals takes quite a bit longer because of just how much time it takes to explore that game.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a nice way to end. Actually get that announced. But the one thing with it, so much of this is next year. And all of it's coming to PC, and not just like Xboxy. I'm sure this is all coming to Steam as well. it makes me just feel like, what do you don't have a lot, Xbox, and clearly you don't have Silksong to show anymore.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, you don't have Silksong. God damn it. Why did you even show it 2 years ago? Ugh.
Coming out next year.
Everything's going to come out in the next 12 months. No, stop fucking lying.
It's really not.
Please don't tug with my heart. I'm done drafting you on fucking Fantasy Critic. Oh well. It'll come out.
You still have like 9 weeks for it to just shadow drop at some point here.
Is there any chance of that happening, considering there's so much stuff?
I'm sure there's a non-zero chance of that happening.
Sure, yeah. There's a non-zero chance of a lot of things happening.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm happy. It's fine. Like, delay it. It's cool. I want to play it, but I have a bunch of other shit to play. It's all good. But man, it's 2 years in a row I've drafted that thing first. Not going to be fooled again. And then when I don't draft it is when it comes out, But
exactly.
I don't need it this year. I'm doing just fine on Fantasy Critic. Your recent release was Unknown Nine Awakening, which is your first negative. Ooh,
yep.
Ouch.
I don't even know what it's at now.
65.
Okay, it went down even more.
It did. Yes. It's kind of like your Nintendo World Champions that was like 73. Then a lot of time, it kept dropping every like 3 or 4 weeks. Now it's at 0.
That's unfortunate.
Not good for you. That's all right. You still got some games coming out. Although this All You Need Is Help never ever got a page. There's no open critic page for All You Need Is Help. Like, no one reviewed this game or what?
Is it out?
Yeah, it came out.
It did.
Yeah, it's been out for a while.
Why isn't anyone talking about this thing?
Yeah, you tell me. I don't know. No one's talking about it. No one's reviewed it. Like, I don't get it. I know everyone's got other things to do, I guess, but there was no freelancer who was like, yeah, I'll review the game for you.
I'm confused. It's like it came out and no one talked about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to load up the Steam page right now to see.
The Steam page just has 4 reviews that are like, said it's one review saying it's buggy, but still positive, saying it's really fun. I'm like, it looks like a really fun 4-player co-op game.
Yeah, exactly. There it is. All You Need Is Help. $19.99.
What happened?
Yeah, really, really, really are 4 reviews. One was received for free. Oh God.
And coordinates it, and like the announcement was made during is now available. Made during announced as available during Tokyo Game Show. The Xbox broadcast on Tokyo Game Show.
Let's see here. Price history, yeah, but it's not even really. Oh wait, where's the charts? There we go.
Come on, people.
2 players are playing right now. There was an all-time peak 3 days ago of 18, and a 24-hour peak of 4. Wow, this was shown in a PlayStation thing, so I would assume that it would be promoted by PlayStation specifically. Man, because that's where I would expect to play it. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not planning to play this on PC. So, what happened?
Wow.
What happened to their marketing? That's more the thing.
Totally imploded, yeah. Who's the publisher on this one? It's Q Games Limited. And okay.
Q Games Limited, the trailer has it junk.
Yeah, it says franchise under Pixel Junk here. It says developer and publisher Q Games Limited. But
yeah. But I'm like, wouldn't Pixel Junk be the ones promoting it?
Yeah. Don't know, man, but that sucks for your Fantasy Critic. It's not even getting a review. I guess
Pixel Junk is a series of downloadable games developed by Q Games.
Yeah,
they're the same thing.
Yeah.
But they did all the Pixel Junk games, which are cool.
This one apparently did not do it.
Or they didn't promote it at all.
Yes.
Like, that's what I'm saying with marketing. I'm like,
yeah.
The fact that I didn't even know your game was out is kind of crazy.
Especially since it's on your Fantasy Critic. You're like, I spent enough time to go and select it, and I still didn't know it was coming out.
Correct.
So interesting. Highest rated game of the year so far is Astrobot, which is cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Just for the audience, my current points are 326. Anthony's are 249.
Yep.
I've released 26. He's released 28. I'm expecting 8. He's expecting 5. Although the 8 is not true because Silk Song's not coming out. There's no reason. There's no reason to in the fall, right? With all the Behemoth games coming out, why would you? So, speaking of Behemoth games, do you want to switch over to talk about Metaphor?
Yeah. So I've been playing Metaphor Fantasio. However you want to say it, Metaphor. Which is a metaphor for sure. It is on the nose name.
And spoilers coming, folks. Just
at least a bit. I'm not going to do too crazy.
Okay.
But
because I don't care about spoilers, so you do what you want.
I am. How far I am in? I am well over 40 now, probably 50 at this point. I really basically just had yesterday and today. We had a weekend of nothing.
Very nice.
Which is very rare to have a weekend where we planned absolutely nothing. I'm just being like, yes. So everyone just played games in the house or read or watched movies. But I played Metaphor and it was incredible. I will say right now, shorter than like Persona 5.
Oh, interesting.
I think I'll finish it at about 65 hours, 70 hours instead of 120.
Oh yeah, critics are saying, and people I've been listening to podcasts, a number of them all have kind of pegged it at 80.
I could see that. I might come in probably close somewhere between 70 and 80. Mm-hmm. I would have bet. But it is a much more truncated time in the game. Like Personas are like an entire year, basically.
Yeah, sure.
This is 4 months. And I'm in middle of month 3. So I've got a month and a half of in-world game time left. And I've just had like some of the big quests happen.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, like it's a really neat game. I would say this, if you don't like Persona mechanics, this isn't going to win you over. This is a Persona game through and through. It's those mechanics refined, much nicer in a lot of ways. But it's still those mechanics. It's just that the story is being told is a very unique fantasy story. And it doesn't ever stop being unique. I mean, it's the basic premise. I kind of heard it going into it, but now really being into it, it is, what was the term? Democracy, the RPG. Because it's an election. That's what the game's about, is an election.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the whole premise of the game is there is an election going on who will be the ruler, a magical election. So you can't cheat. Theoretically, you can't cheat. There are ways.
Because you're reading thoughts to see who you swayed, yes. And that's the vote.
The opening. This is what spoilers can be. Like the straight opening cinematic of the game is the king being killed, assassinated, and then going through and like there are people that want to usurp the throne, but then clearly the king had come up with devised a plan. Like if he had been killed or when he died, this big magical election would be enacted as his final will. And so there's just a giant, like the palace breaks off and is floating in the sky everywhere with the face of the king, one eye. It's kind of an homage, like a fiery, lava stone face emboldened on there. And then the other side is an ever-changing stone carving of the faces of the top 3 contenders to become the next king. It's a weird setup for a story. I didn't know how it was going to go, but it has gone very well. It talks a lot about what it is to be a leader, showing a lot of different perspectives on like different types of leaders and what they feel is important. The game is very much heavily about like prejudices through a fantasy lens. There's a bunch of tribes and none of them get along. There are definitely ones that are just straight up looked down upon. It's very topical for our time right now, I would say, in a crazy way. which I'm sure it was written in a very topical way of being like, yeah, prejudice has existed in humanity forever. But really the prejudices and the introspection on what leadership is, and us going through a very tumultuous election season right now. Kind of an interesting choice to release it during all of that. Although it's Japanese developers, so I know who knows if they really even considered that at all. Probably not. When they started developing this game years ago.
Well, and they've said, that they contend it has no, reference to any real world stuff, but
it's a metaphor. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It is interesting that it's a 4-month campaign, which is how long Harris has been campaigning, basically.
Yeah.
For this, that's cool.
There's neat illusions there.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. The characters are incredible. I love the characters. All your companions, probably some of the best that this team has done. One thing I did learn: there's 0 romance in this game.
Right.
You can't romance any of these companions, even though I'm like, I really want to.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, that's not what this is. And they're like, well, good on you for just making that choice and being like, no, not every game has to have choose your waifu. So there is that.
For me, I've been in the demo, and it's just running on my Steam Deck. So whenever I pick up my Steam Deck, it's just there. I'm like, okay, I'll keep playing this. It starts off, for me, I keep hearing from the reviews and stuff like, oh, it's the first 10 hours are slow or the first 8 hours are slow. I haven't found them to be slow at all. So if it just gets better from there, which is what I've heard, that's great. The 2 things that really hooked me, one is the combat, where I don't have to jump into a turn-based combat every single time. Sometimes I can just slash on the open field and they're down, kind of the grunts or whatever, and move on, which is cool. Even the turn-based combat is very snappy and very quick. I'm at the point now where I've gone to academia twice and gotten my archetypes for 3 characters now. My 3 characters that I have, Grius, I think, and my character, and then Stole. So one, the pace of the combat has won me over, but then story-wise, I got to the point where the recruiter for your army or whatever, you find him in the mines. This is spoilers for early on in the demo. And you realize, wait a second, you sent us all to die. And he's like, of course I did. We want to send in what's going to convince people to vote for my dude except for a pile of bodies. He'll be the only one that can save everybody. I was like, holy shit. All right, yeah. I'm in. I'm ready. This is I want to know more about this because this is like politicians sending people to war and using war to prop up their elections. Which we are seeing.
The game is real dark. I'm going to tell you that. There are like companion storylines that are just like, oh my God.
They better be, because this shit's happening in real life. I mean, we're seeing it with Netanyahu in Israel right now. There's certainly a component of national defense after October 7th, but then the way that this war has been perpetrated and ceasefires have been declined, and all of it, it's a complex thing, but there are dark moments to it too, where accusations of using a war to prop up someone's election, keep someone in power. We're not just seeing it in this war; we're seeing it in wars all over the place.
That's
what happens.
That's been a consistent
how long
history?
How long has the world been around?
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see it explore that, and I'm sure that the characters that have been through that shit, or I've seen shit. Here's the shit that I've seen. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's what the game does really well. It has those, I would say, higher level concepts and then threads it through a character so that you're like, no, here's this character's personal experience with those decisions that were made and what the outcomes were.
Right,
and
for
it's
this
the war
person on
stuff.
the ground,
It's prejudice. It's like they do not pull their punches. But I will say the game is optimistic, though. In the end, like, it's real dark, but it's real bright too at the same times, and really strives for optimism in the end.
That's pretty cool.
Which doesn't surprise me. It's very similar to, it's just what this team has done. I would say, especially with Persona 5, And now having played 3 is about optimism, but there's a lot of sacrifice for that optimism in 3. Actually, yeah, that's just one of the hallmarks of the Persona series in this team, is being like, yeah, there's a lot of dark, awful things, but life is still worth it, and we're fighting for a better world, and society is always worth it.
Yeah.
And that comes through in this game completely. And in some ways, being able to put it into just a fantasy world helps them have stronger metaphors in a lot of ways to it. I got really far in. The setting is very interesting. That's what I don't want to spoil, because there's actually some really neat stuff in the setting.
There's the something that I love about the setting, something I love about this game, and something that's gonna, I think, propel me deeper into this than I've gotten to Persona. And I know I've talked about it before, but I didn't really realize with Persona specifically it was holding me back, because I kind of thought Ryuji was annoying, or Ryuji.
Sure. Ryuji.
It's the fucking high school thing, man. It's sure. The school setting. I just don't like it. I know it's an amazing game, but I just can't. And this is not that, but it's the same. That's not the same. They've upgraded, they've refined the Persona formula so far from what I've seen and what I've heard. But it's just in a different setting. It's just like, oh, I can actually relax. I can feel like I can inhabit this world without feeling like a fucking creep. No offense, people who love Persona 5 like you, you're not creepy, but I just feel creepy. So,
I mean, there are some creepy parts in Persona 5. I will not say no to that, but there are parts that make me laugh hilarious because the absurdity, it's real creepy, but absurd at the same time. Chalk that up to different social norms on what is considered okay in putting in stories and fiction in Japan. It just doesn't fly in the West, but they keep it like dating a teacher.
Yes, exactly. That's where I just get.
But it's not just Persona. I'm like, this is a trope that's been in so many Japanese games.
Well, I mean, we've seen it in American media too. It's just that's where I nope out. I'm like, well, we're getting there. Nope.
You're getting close. You're getting too close. Nope, too uncomfortable.
Do not want that. What? This professor plays these games where he dates teachers, or teachers date students? I don't want to be anywhere fucking near that.
Yeah.
It's gross for me. But games are games. It is what it is. But I'm glad you are liking it. This is I was going to keep playing the demo until I was like, okay, this is a game I got to play. And I finally did get to that point. And then I used my 20% off coupon from Humble to get it on. I'm playing on Steam Deck. It runs fine. People have complained about the, anti-aliasing on PC and the performance on Steam Deck, but it's been fine for me. So
I heard one, man, what was it? Adam Conover's podcast. If you know who he is at all. But
is he the one?
He does. Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to remember the name, so go ahead.
What was the podcast name? But basically, this factually is his podcast, and this week he had Jason Schreier on.
Schreier's fucking.
They talked for an hour and a half, and Schreier was talking. He was playing Metaphor on his Steam Deck and loving it. But saying that there were places where he was getting 15, 20 frames per second in cities sometimes.
In the cities mostly, yeah, exactly.
But he's like, it doesn't really matter, and it's not stopping me from playing it. So
so that's good, because the portability matters for me. So
that one other piece of the game gets into, you have the election piece. It gets really deep into the power of religion and control. The power of religion to control people, control beliefs. There is allegories to clearly Christianity, and then a whole other nation that the metaphor for the Christian church is deemed pagans, and a lot of colonization pieces, and talk of examples of go pillage and take their relics, because those are the church's relics to begin with, because all religious relics believe are part of our religion and God.
Sure.
So direct, that's where it gets dark. And you're like, oh, okay, this is they're not shying away from this at all. You're really going there with this and not gonna pull the punches, which is good. They shouldn't, because I think if they did, it would come off as very fake in a lot of ways. And and this way, it's like, no, what you're talking about, you clearly, the writers and the people doing this had something to say. So, and that feels good.
But yeah, I'm glad it's out there. I'm glad they're refining Persona, bringing more people into it. People are just fucking gaga over this game. You're going to get to the end of this game before our Goaty talk for sure. So hopefully I get a good way into it. I won't beat it.
Still sitting at 92. Not bad.
Yeah. Helping out my fantasy critic.
That's right. Because I picked other things early.
Well, you didn't think I was going to pick that one. I don't think that's not really in my wheelhouse.
I didn't think you were going to pick it. Because I totally was on my list to pick as we were going down of top big games, and I'm like, this game's not going to miss, really.
Nope.
That Persona team has been making bangers for a while, so
yeah, they know what they're doing. That's for sure.
Very curious what Persona 6 is going to be then at this point.
Yeah, I assume it would build off of this. But
I think some of this stuff will come back. I don't know if this
different team, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking there was another team that was building Persona 6. Clearly influenced by these people too.
Sure.
Because these are the three that have been involved since Persona 3.
Right.
Heavily. And this was kind of their way to be like, no, look we've done this. We've done a lot of Personas. We want to do something else.
Please free us to do something different.
Yeah, and then in some ways, this do something different, and if it does well, it gives Atlas a new IP to work with. And I think it is doing well. So
yeah, it sold 1 million in the first day. And it took P3 Reload a month, maybe to sell 1 million. A week? Maybe you're right. Yeah, man.
I don't know. It was either week. It was a bit of time, but it got there. So cool. No, that's all I've been playing though, is this game.
Oh yeah. I would assume. So I played a little bit of that. So I'll leave that there. Something else. I've been playing 2 things this week. One was Neva, published by Devolver, but put out by or developed by somebody else. The team that did Grease, or Gree, whatever. I think it's a Spanish studio. Gree was like 3 hours. I didn't play it yet. Now I'm going to, but Neva's around 6 hours. I'm probably 2 hours into it. It's just very painterly, very like the real estate of the screen is mostly background, mostly foreground, and your character is so small. So a lot of it's just you're a female character, and then your kind of wolf deer friend going through the forest. It's set up in seasons, summer, fall, spring. No, it was summer, fall, spring. No, winter. Jesus Christ. Summer, fall, winter. I'm like, I'm missing a season. What season am I missing? This is not a video game thing. This is my brain is broken thing. I'm in fall right now. You start in summer, and you go through stages, basically, fall part 1, fall part 2, and there are dark entities in the forest that they're kind of like trying to pull you down, and you're battling them as you go, kind of like these shadowy monsters. I don't know what the deal is with them, but they're there. Provides the combat. You've got a double jump, you've got a dodge, you've got a sword, and you've got your beast that you can interact with. And it's beautiful the way that the art is portrayed, like flowers on the bushes or whatever, just like drops of paint. And it's just so gorgeous how it foregrounds the environment, and you are so small in it. So yeah, I've been playing that, been enjoying that. And then the other thing we've been playing that my daughter is currently obsessed with is Mario Party Jamboree. Came out the 17th in a couple days. The reviews were good, and the reviews were right. This game, it's the best Mario Party on the Switch. The boards are really clever. There are lots of items that you can buy to kind of fuck shit up and mix things up, and on the Mario Party board. And then once you beat one board or play one full game, you unlock Pro Mode, which is basically a way to take the luck out of it. So they don't have the final bonus stars, or if they do, they tell you what it is ahead of time. And it just reduces some of the bullshit star changing luck. Which some people like. There's also a bunch of other modes. You can kind of fly around in one mode and complete different challenges as Mario and Luigi, and you just put Joy-Con in your hand and just flap around and float around. It was a ton of fun with my daughter. And there's a mini game, just go in a mini game. There's an online battle royale where you're doing mini games and gaining points and trying to be top 1 out of 20. The boards are inventive. There's a couple of returning boards, but they made a bunch of new modern boards that are really good. It's really good, man. It's a really fun Mario Party. It's a hit at the house. That's all my daughter wants to play right now. So much so that we had to take away video game time for a couple of days because she refused to turn it off, despite being asked about 5 times. That sucks for her and sucks for the family, but it's speaking well to Mario Party because she never ever does that, and she just did not want to stop. So yeah, really, really, really cool. I kind of wish that we would stick with Zelda. I really want to continue going through that, but I want to do it with her and kind of just, she is like me. I'm playing this game and now I'm playing that game and now I'm playing this game. But it's a lot of fun. My daughter
finished it yesterday.
Zelda, nice. What'd you think?
Yep, she loved it. She had a great time, and then Excellent. she beat it and then started going, being like, all right, time to collect all the echoes that I don't have.
Oh, very cool.
Because there's a feature once you beat it, I think
it tells you how many you have out of how many
are there. The different areas and the different, so she could start going around being like, okay, what do I need to get?
What cave did I miss that has some echo hidden in it?
Exactly. But she had a great time with it. So I can probably play it now at some point. That will probably be what I play after Metaphor. So. Oh, did I lose you?
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay, that was weird. It said that you were gone, but I was clearly the one that was messed up. That's weird. My internet didn't die or anything.
No, I will say from browsing around the internet tonight, there's some weirdness going on to the internet as a whole. Like, I'm having, like, Steam images are real slow to load for me. Sometimes Amazon pages were being really weird for me earlier, although it seems like it's getting better now. But it wasn't every website. It was just some, and I'm like, oh, did something crazy happen? But
yeah.
You're back. So I just said that she finished Zelda. She had a good time.
Excellent.
And I will probably play it after I play Metaphor.
Yes, that's great news. Speaking of finishing things, one thing else I finished this week was Final Fantasy XVI. I recorded a full review podcast, about 35 minutes. I will post that in the show notes so y'all can listen. But overall, boy, the last fifth of that game is a banger. It does not let up, and it is fucking fantastic, to the point where I'm like, it made me recontextualize the rest of the game, where I had been kind of like, meh, so kind of on it. It took me over a year to beat it. But now I'm like, man, I just didn't get it. Like, it is, the story is great. The gameplay is great. Like, they really were building to, it was a slow burn. And then it just goes fast. I wish there was more with Dion. I think overall, him coming in at the end there is a bit Deus Ex Machina a bit. But I felt like overall, like, this was a really well put together game. And I'm sort of sad that, I don't know if we talked about it last time in spoilers for this game or if we talked about it elsewhere. Maybe we did talk about it last time. The ambiguity of the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is lasting, and it makes it so there's not another game, perhaps, because, it could have gone either way at the end. But yeah, check out my review. It's in the show notes. But Anthony, it was great. It really was.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's a different game from what I would say Final Fantasies have been in the past.
For sure.
But they all have to reinvent themselves. And that's just part of that franchise, is like every once in a while, try something crazy different. And I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they pushed and tried something new. It doesn't all land. Mechanically, it doesn't all land for me. When talking about having to cut things, I clearly feels like a lot of the itemization aspects of it got cut in the end. Probably from a complexity of building the content and keeping it balanced. But oh well, I got some great characters out of it. Absolutely love Clive as a character in the end. And really that's the kind of difference of this game. It is Clive's game. This is not an ensemble game at all. Where mostly previous Final Fantasies have been very ensemble casts. This game is not. This is Clive. This is Clive's story, and you're getting it. You're getting his story.
Well, that's part of the frustration that I had early on was like I wanted more Jill, and eventually I got more Jill, but still not enough. Joshua too, but it's absolutely Clive's game.
Which is different than Final Fantasies before, where they've
absolutely it's like the foursome 15 or whatever.
Yeah. You had that was like the most restricted of the parties up until that point. You're like, no, it's just the 4 dudes. Because before that, I mean, like most games at least had like 7 or 8 different protagonists. Always kind of one being a little bit more main, but you would switch around through all the cast and they'd all have their big moments and you'd hours upon hours of story and stuff. And no, 16 was like, no, we're just going to do this as like, no, you're playing this character. This is the game. Well,
I'm glad they took the swing. I really enjoyed it. And this has been an interesting year for me because, I think I know I said before in the podcast, Final Fantasy 15 was the first one I ever beat of this franchise. But then this year I've beaten Remake, gotten really far into Rebirth, beat Final Fantasy 12, and then now Final Fantasy 16, and then we're soon embarking, or at some point we'll embark on Final Fantasy 1. I already have some interesting thoughts on that game. It's the year of Final Fantasy for me, to be honest.
Yeah, catch up on one of the more important franchises in video games.
Well, to the point now where when I hear that opening Final Fantasy kind of arpeggio, I just feel nostalgia. I'm like, I haven't played this series for very long. Why am I feeling nostalgia? But it's just fucking great, man.
Yeah.
To the point where I loaded up Final Fantasy 14 the other night, and I started playing. I was like, nah, this is still. There's like way too much shit on the screen.
It's an MMO. Yeah. Yes, it is an MMO, absolutely. And you have to be okay with the MMO. Again, another wild swing whenever they decided to do 11 and 14 of being like, yeah, guess what? All our games were single player stories. We're just going to name 11 an MMO. It's just a multiplayer thing. And you're like, what? Why?
Well, that's the one my cousin got into, man.
Why isn't it Final Fantasy Online? They're like, no, it's 11.
We are keeping the
mainline. You're like, but is it? And you're like, no, it is. We said it is.
Yep.
Okay. And then I played 14 being like, yeah, 14 is mainline. Very mainline.
Man, I remember coming home from, was it high school? Was it college? I don't remember.
College. It came out when we were in college.
Okay. So coming back home from college and that's all my cousin would play. And like when I left, he was playing Counter-Strike and all of a sudden he's playing Final Fantasy 11. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, okay, nerd. Take it all back now. Take it all back.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah. Anthony, one last question before we end the podcast. It is the 20th of October. Next week is a big week in that it's the last full week of October. Are we getting any Switch 2 anything?
No. Nintendo is not going to give it. They're going to give us some other hardware, right? we got the alarm clock. So what's what's another toy-like thing they can put in your house?
You know what I want to see next week? I want to see fucking amiibo for Echoes of Wisdom. God damn it! Give me a Zelda.
Yeah, they haven't announced any other amiibos still. I mean, they reprinted the Link's Awakening Link, which I got, but since Sora, there's been no straight up new ones.
They might be done. Who knows? Well,
or at least done.
Sora
done for now.
Did Sora come out after Tears of the Kingdom amiibo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm almost certain it did. Sora was, I think, the last one that came out.
Yeah, because the Tears of the Kingdom one, which are on my desk right now, came out last May. So who knows?
Do they have them by date? I was looking if they. There are 223 amiibo figures.
Jesus fucking Christ. I have my wife walks into my booth and she's just like, what the fuck? I was like, do you want them in the house? She's like, no. Okay. Then they are in my booth, but there's
we are at an impasse. Okay.
Yes, exactly. They stay here. But I probably have 60 or so, maybe 70. I think 60 to 70. But I didn't realize there were 200 and fucking whatever. Jesus.
Yeah, that is crazy. And then they have the hundreds of amiibo cards.
Oh yeah, for sure. Animal Crossing specifically.
Yeah. Oh my God. Why are there so many? I'm sorry. It's so many. List of amiibo. Holy crap.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh.
All right.
But maybe they're done for now. Maybe that's something for Switch 2.
Maybe. Or maybe they're like, we're done making little toy things. But no, Nintendo's never done making toy things. So it could be a new toy thing. Who knows?
We're never done.
We're never done.
I feel like they all sell out, so it doesn't matter.
Yes, right. That's true too.
Like my daughter wants of all the Breath of the Wild, we don't have Daruk.
Oh, and interesting.
Like, I really want Daruk. She's like, I want Daruk. They made it. I just don't have it.
Oh, I know they made it. I have all of them.
I just don't have Daruk. I just didn't get it at the time, and it's just like it's not cheap to get.
No, it is not. Daruk's the beefiest of all the amiibo ever made. I swear to God, him and King K. Rool.
Sure,
both rotund.
I can only imagine that they ended up making money back for everyone that they made.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know. It's ridiculous. Maybe Sora wasn't the last one. I think based on the ore lineup here, I was wrong. There was Splatoon ones that came out.
Oh, that's so not on my radar. I didn't even know.
There was a chunk of Splatoon ones that came out more recently.
Huh.
They came out last month, actually. I remember that.
Oh,
yeah. There was a pack of Splatoon ones.
What the fuck? I absolutely missed that.
3. Yep.
Huh. Well, it's also not something that I care much about. So yeah.
Yeah, and you're off on your year. The Tears of the Kingdom stuff was 2023.
Yeah, as I said. Oh, I meant last May, not this May. Last May.
Yeah, they've had a bunch since then. I have some. I have Noah and Mio from Xenoblade Chronicles. Those came out
since.
And it's basically a bunch of Splatoon stuff and Sora. So clearly, just making it for the Japanese audience now.
Sure, why not?
They're like, here, Splatoon is huge. Enjoy.
We made something you like. Please play, enjoy.
Splatoon at some point.
I just can't get into this motion. I tried 1 and 2, and I love playing the online stuff. Like it's been a lot of fun, but I wish I could get more into the campaign, just the motion controls.
I have people at work, 2 people at work that just this is their game. Splatoon is their game that they just play.
Interesting.
Nightly.
Yeah.
And they love it. The Splatoon 3 specifically.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, is the controls different in Splatoon 3? Do you have to use motion controls?
Oh, I think you still do. I mean, I have not touched 3, but everyone that I've heard talk about it, he continues to talk about how the only way to play is motion control. Like, okay.
Then you're like, no thanks.
Yeah.
But cool. We just had a tangent, but we can end now.
Yeah, we were wrapping up, and then we started talking about Splatoon and Amiibo. All right, folks, thanks so much for listening. If you like our podcast, please tell a friend, rate it on your podcast service of choice, and we will be back next week to talk about, I'm going to do it, Silk Song. This week is happening. God damn it. All right, folks, thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Later, everyone.